Hey, here is Wizard of Legends. You're going to be seeing this pretty much right when the game releases, but this is about 2 weeks before it released. So I do not have everything unlocked. There's basically, obviously, there's no information about the game anywhere on the internet aside from a couple little tidbits on the Gamepedia wiki that they made. So I'm going to go over what I do know is true about the game. I have beaten the game twice. I have a majority of the things unlocked, so we're going to go over things just one by one here. There's a lot to cover. So you see here, you have the face buttons. The face buttons and the first two are L1 and R1 or LB and RB respectively, depending on what controller you're on. These control your basically all your moves, your arcana. Your arcana are your moves. So you have a basic one. You have a dash. Right now I have this gust dash, which kind of brings them back towards me, which I often use to extend combos. And you have a standard arcana, and then a signature. This is one that you get for beating the game. Now, you see this bar up here. This bar is basically, it's kind of like a combo bar. If you've ever played any kind of game that rewards you for, you know, comboing or chaining a bunch of actions together, it's pretty much the same thing here. And once you get it to the top, it will deplete, and if you push your signature button before it depletes, then you'll do a powered up version of that move. And now I can push B again. And obviously you see that it's changed quite a bit. So over here, you talk to Tomi, and this will have, this NPC will basically have all the arcana that you've unlocked. And you can choose one for each category. However, you see the other 2 slots here. What these are for extra arcana that you pick up on the field. And also, you can choose another one, you can store another one here. There'll be a slot when you have 6 and you try to pick up a 7th one. So it'll allow you to stock another one in case you have like a really, you know, good synergized build, but you want to have something extra for utility. So you can stack, you can, or carry a total of 7 arcana, but you only start with 4. So you can see I have most of the basic arcana unlocked. I tend to stick with the Wind Slash or the Ice Daggers. The Ice Daggers are really good for the pits. They actually said that they want to reduce how many pits there are in the game, but the amount of pits can kind of reduce the effectiveness of some moves and stuff. So I tend to just kind of alternate between the Wind Slash and the Ice Dagger, but there's a ton of customization available. And for the dash, this is the one that you start with. This is the one that kind of gives you a little bit of a combo extender. So I'll go ahead and I'll show a couple of these so you can see how different they are. So that one just creates a trail of flame. Now this one is cool because during the animation where the water is over you, you actually are protected from attacks. So you can kind of time that a little bit. And I'm going to go back to my tried and true before I get into the gameplay here. And for your signature arcana, you can only have one of these equipped no matter what. The other 3 slots can only be for standard arcana, so you can't get 2 dash or 2 basic arcana. They can only be for signature, or not signature, but standard ones. So I have most of the arcana unlocked. If you want to see my progress here, I think I'm missing about 48 or so. So still a ways to go, but I have a decent chunk of them. I'm pretty late to the, or deep into the unlock pool. So over here, you can talk to Mimi. Mimi has all of the items that you've unlocked so far. And what's unique about this game, I think one of the best traits about this game, besides the, you know, the cool and unique combat, is that you can choose one item before your run, so you can actually kind of shape the way your run is going to go without having to reset a bunch and try to get lucky with RNG, which I think is really nice. There's been too many roguelikes where you have to reset like crazy to get anything good at all. So I'm not going to go over all of these, obviously. When I get the full item pool unlocked, I might do like a full compilation video, but just for example, there's some cool ones here. Like this one actually gives you like the Moon of Mahakala. It's basically the exact same thing. You push forward into an attack and you take no damage. I haven't messed around with it much yet, but you can obviously see how that would be a kind of great thing to have. And this one makes it so you have invincibility frames while you dash. So we'll go ahead and go with this one. There's also other ones here, like reduces all cooldowns. Defeating foes lowers active cooldowns. So you can choose one of these items before each run. I tend to gravitate towards this one because I like to play with a melee build, and with a melee build, you don't want to be hit out of your animations, so I tend to use this one more often. So we'll go ahead and go with this actually. That's a little bit easier to show off than the other ones, which are mostly passives. You can see right there, there's the relic that I just got from Mimi. And then finally over here, you have these cloaks that you can use, and the cloaks have different perks. Like here's one that gives you more run speed and more evade chance, so if you want to equip an item like the Antiquated Tabi and get more evade chance from that, then that can make it pretty difficult for you to be hit. And these are the final ones that you get here. So I've been sticking with this one because I like the evade chance and the armor. It definitely makes it a little bit easier to survive. And you get all these from the cloak NPC. So I'll go ahead and I'll go with this one. That's pretty much the gist of it. You can actually practice here. This blue orb gives you a full signature bar. So you can practice and see how each one works. Now that one looks pretty broken. You actually have to beat the game to earn that one. That's what I got for beating it the second time. Anyway, here's the Relic NPC. He has a bunch of items here. The way that the items work is that you unlock them for use at the beginning of the run. Like you saw, I just chose the Sanos headband. You can use these to start a run, and they also unlock throughout the rest of the game as well. What's unique about this game is it also gives you a little bit of the next part of the item pool so that you can try out items before you unlock them. I was actually unsure how it worked. I had to talk to the developer to kind of confirm that information. I didn't want to spread any misinformation. Anyway, here's the Arcana NPC. It's pretty self-explanatory. You go here and you unlock them. You can see how expensive these ones are. Towards the beginning of the game, they cost about 10 to 12, and then the signatures cost 75, but since I'm getting pretty close to the end of the item pool, they're becoming more expensive. Now when you buy one of these items, I actually can't show you right now because I haven't actually gone out into a run yet. The NPCs will spawn over here and you can change your loadout pretty quick. Now these two NPCs, these are like kind of run changers. This one will allow you to start a run with a certain boss. So if you don't like fighting the bosses when they're more powered up, the bosses actually get stronger as you get towards the end of the game. So the third boss will be a lot harder than the first one. They'll have new attacks, and they'll also be able to chain more attacks together before you can stun them. So I'll go ahead and I'll play through the first 3 levels so that you guys can see the boss mechanics. With this NPC, she takes 20 Chaos Gems, which is the permanent currency that you use to unlock items. She'll take 20 Chaos Gems for 200 gold, which is actually pretty nice because you can use that to get maybe close to 2 or 3 items depending on how much gold you get during your first level here. And then finally here is the tailor. You can also change your alterations, but I don't know exactly what this does because the game doesn't tell you. But you'll be able to buy all of the cloaks here. So, I'll go ahead and I'll start a run now. Pretty standard procedurally generated fare. You know, the game's not going to be the same every time. It is a roguelike. So during combat you can chain any of your moves together at any time, but depending on the synergy, it might not work as well as you think. You can see there's a cooldown. The cooldown is very much structured like, I'd say, like a DFO type game, like an action MMO, where the cooldowns are kind of like balanced so that you can, you know, always have something to cast or use. But it definitely helps to have an extra 2 Arcana because that's just more moves that you can have in your rotation, and when you stun a boss you're definitely going to want to have more in your rotation so that you can do more damage. There's a signature. So here's the boss room. In these three little triangles shape here, you can see this is where the shop, the challenge room, and then the Arcana shop will be. So you can teleport here. So sometimes it's nice to be able to get straight to the boss portal so that you can teleport back there. It's kind of to keep the pace of the game moving quickly. Taking a while to find any of the NPCs. So the obstacles or the hazards can hurt both you and the AI. So sometimes it could be nice to have a move that can push enemies into pits and things like that. Okay, so here's the red or the challenge NPC. What he does is he allows you to drop a relic and then he'll pay you for it. I don't know exactly how much the price varies, but I've seen him pay quite a bit for some of the more rare ones. Now in that slot there could also be like a piñata. You have to combo him as fast as possible before his dizzy timer comes out or wears out, and he'll give you an Arcana. And finally there will be a... Actually, there's two more. There's one more. She'll take one of your Arcana and give you another one back. And then finally, there's the curse guy or the Grim Reaper or whatever. He'll offer you an item with a pretty big advantage, but also a pretty big drawback. So here's the shop. Really, not much to say here. None of these items are really too great for what I have right now, from what I remember. I'm still kind of in the learning phase here, but there will always be a healing potion for 100 gold. So it's generally nice to have 100 gold towards the end of a level, because that way you can, heal up. Alright, the game was nice to me. So here's the Arcana NPC. So there'll always be one that's enhanced, and then there'll be ones on kind of a Steam sale, so to speak. I don't particularly want any of these. I don't know what this one does exactly, so... just for fun, we'll try this one out. Alright. I'm probably going to reset after this because I want to get the 200 gold so I can try to get another Chaos Arcana. It doesn't matter what I take. So you notice when I hit him, when he was not flashing yellow, he's stunned. That's basically how the boss mechanics work. Cannot stagger them until they're out of that little yellow aura. At that point they'll get stunned and you have like a few seconds to combo them. So generally you want to kind of do as much damage as possible, like try to get to a signature or something like that. Now with the bosses, the council members, the three bigger icons there, what they'll do is they'll cycle through a bunch of moves, and then past that point, or after they finish their combo, they'll pose for a little bit and their aura will come off and you can combo them. And you know me, I hate when you can't combo bosses. I think this game is actually pretty well designed in that regard. You can actually combo things as long as you're careful. You can't button mash in this game, really. You have to actually pay attention to what you're doing, which is obviously something that you want in a game like this. Yeah, so here's the bootleg Moon of Mahakala. None of this stuff's too great. I'm gonna try to get a better Arcana build for now. But I'm also gonna try to run through this really quick so you can see how the boss mechanics work. You notice I'm dashing after a while, like sprinting. The way that works is after you run for a while, he'll just automatically sprint, which kind of helps you to get around faster. Kind of overkill or whatever. Now, if you want, you can just go straight to the boss, but I've found it actually is useful to at least get to the Arcana shop and the regular shop, because that way you'll have, you know, a little bit more control of your build. Wait for the poison to tick. Alright, so this is actually pretty good for a melee build because it's kind of like an Ouroboros, it protects you. There we go. And it's the enhanced one, which is even better. Yeah, see, she'll take an Arcana and she'll give you another one. But for the sake of this video, I'm not going to do it even though my build's not great at the moment, because I actually just want to show off the boss and end it really quick. I don't like wasting people's time, so... I'll definitely be doing runs of this, which may or may not be commentated later on. So, I'll probably be able to see those mechanics more at that point. Alright, so the exit must be over to the right. Okay, so now I'll be able to see how the boss mechanics work. So basically, he's going to do 3 attacks, and then he'll pose for a little bit, which is kind of like a taunt. At that point, his armor is going to come off, and you can combo him for a couple seconds. After that, he'll get his armor off and repeat the cycle. So generally, you don't want to really bother attacking them unless it's really safe. You want to just focus on dodging their attacks, because you're going to have you know, a few seconds to just dump all your cooldowns and try to chain things together as smoothly as possible during that phase. There we go. You see, you do that little pose there. So after you fight a boss, you'll get an extra Arcana, and it'll go into your stock. So here's the stock mechanic. Like, that actually kind of looks lackluster. Not really good for my playstyle, but that's basically the gameplay flow of, or gameplay loop of Wizard of Legend. Past this point, there's 2 other bosses, and there's a final boss. When you beat the final boss, you will get 1 Chaos Arcana, which you can only get from finishing the game completely. And then when you beat it again, you'll get an extra one. So right now, I have 2 of the Chaos Arcana because I've had 2 successful runs. But on subsequent runs, I believe up to 8 runs, you'll get a new one. So you'll get Chaos Gems, and you can use those to unlock all the things I mentioned at the beginning of the video. But yeah, that's basically Wizard of Legend. I think it's really fun. There are some things that I don't like about it, but they are very open to feedback. They said that they don't want to change anything until it's in more people's hands and they actually are able to kind of configure or figure out what they want to do, like balance passes and stuff like that. There are some really annoying enemies and things like that, but I think the game is really well designed. I think a game like this would have been like really easy to screw it up, but you can tell they really did their homework and they did a really great job with it. I thought that the bosses would be, you know, bullshit or something. They do have some hard to dodge attacks, but for the most part they all follow, even the final boss, he follows pretty much the same formula. You know, he does a bunch of crazy stuff, which you'll see in the other video that were released today. But it's pretty much the same deal. You know, he just chains a bunch of stuff together, and then you have a couple seconds to combo him. So I think it's got a really nice flow to the boss fights. I think that in some cases the basic or the just the trash mobs can be a lot harder to deal with depending on what kind of build you're using. Like this build is pretty much single target. I do have some AoE here, but I generally use like pure melee. So a lot of times the bosses can be a lot easier because I can just dump a bunch of single target damage right away. But if you don't have a balanced build, or you like playing you like playing ranged or melee only, then one of the other components of the game is going to be more difficult. Anyway, that's it. If you guys have any more questions, you can let me know. The game should be available by the time you see this because the embargo is supposed to lift when it releases on Steam. You can get it on Switch, Xbox One, PS4, and PC. Thanks for watching. Peace.